You ate it?
Ian. Oh my God, you okay?
I'm fine, just extremely clumsy. You'll see this several times.
So much food. It's crazy.
Oh man, this tribe is awesome. Wonder what's happening on Karma. Surely with Aubrey and Victoria on a tribe together, something fun is going on there.
Song and dance for the challenge.
Yeah. Choreography?
Okay, so for the next immunity challenge,
Yes.
we'll go, hey, come on, come on.
I have never been more bored in my life than I am at this very moment in time. There have been well over 100 tribes in Survivor history, and I forget some of them. Who is this tribe? Today, I want to look at those under-edited tribes in Survivor history and see if we can figure out why the editors hate them so much. Now for some new math. Skip to this time if you just want the list. Cool, my favourite viewers are still here. Leave a comment about how cool the math in this section is so all the people who skipped feel as if they missed out. How do we determine an under-edited tribe? Let's start with the basic facts. There are X tribes in a season, right? Borneo had 2 tribes, Panama had 4 tribes. Every single season in the new era has 3 tribes and makes me very sad to see the stagnation of a game I hold so dearly to my heart. So if we divide 100 by the number of tribes, we get the percentage of confessionals we'd expect each tribe to receive if the edit were even. Easy, right? Wrong. Season 13, Cook Islands, how many tribes does it have? 4? No. It actually has 8. You have the 4 starting tribes, then you have the 2 tribes after the initial dissolution of Puka Puka and Manahiki, then you have the 2 tribes that form after the mutiny occurs. If you want to be pedantic about it, you can also count the merged tribe, but the merged tribe gets 100% of the content in most cases, so we can ignore those. I'm also going to be ignoring Mergatory Teams, Edge of Extinction, and Redemption Island. Now to figure out which tribes are being under-edited. The first thing you have to do is shout out Survive R. If you miss this step, then your code won't compile and you'll be stuck manually counting confessionals by hand, so a big shout out to Survive R linked in the description. Then you go through each season and figure out how many tribes existed in that season. Here are the tribes that existed for Survivor Africa. Next you figure out when those tribes were formed and when those tribes were dissolved. This will come in handy soon. OG Boron and Samburu were formed in episode 1 and stopped existing in episode 4. Swapped Boron and Samburu were formed in episode 5 and stopped existing at the end of episode 6. There may be some sort of fuzzy lines where the tribes merged halfway through an episode and so the tribes still existed at the start of an episode but stopped existing by the end of it. We need to draw the line somewhere, we can't be counting halfway through an episode. Next you calculate how many confessionals each contestant had in the pre-merge. Storing this as an array of zeros initially is helpful, because it allows us to not worry about recap episodes messing up our explanation. So Diane had 1 confessional in episode 1, and then 0 confessionals in episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because she was voted out in episode 1. Here are those stats for every contestant in Survivor Africa. Then, for each contestant in a tribe, you grab the slice for that contestant from when the tribe was active. So Lindsay having 3, 6, 5, 5, 4, and 10, we only grab those last 2 for post-swap Samburu, and the first 4 for pre-swap Samburu. Sum that up for all your castaways in a tribe and you get how many confessionals that tribe had during its time on Earth, before Jeff Probst took it out back and made it drop its buff. Divide that by the number of confessionals that actually happened when the tribe existed, you have the percentage of confessionals that tribe got. Here's how that stacks up for pre-swap Boron, pre-swap Samburu, post-swap Boron, and post-swap Samburu. Now we could stop here, but keen-eyed viewers will see that there is an issue. Sometimes there are 2 tribes, sometimes there are 3 tribes, sometimes there are 4 tribes. In these scenarios, different amounts of confessionals are expected. It would be weird to give OG Puka 50% of the content when you have 4 tribes to divide the content amongst. So we calculate the distance between the actual percentage and the percentage they should have gotten, assuming it was distributed evenly. Lastly, we divide that by the amount they should have gotten, and we get a percentage, which tells us what percentage of their expected content the tribe did not get. So once again, here are those numbers for pre-swap Boron, pre-swap Samburu, post-swap Boron, and post-swap Sembaru. Hey people who hate math, I tricked you into skipping to here, but this is important. The numbers you're about to see are not entirely perfect, because it's a relative metric instead of being absolute. I don't think it causes any problems here, but good to know this is a relative metric on a per season basis. Okay, cool. Top 8 most under-edited tribes in Survivor history, except technically it's a top several or maybe even a top 9, but you'll see why later. Coming in at number 8 we have a tie between post-swap Soka from Survivor 44 and post-swap Ravu from Survivor 44. These are the tribes that formed after Josh, Carson and Jamie got yanked from their tribes and put in an unwinnable situation. Except the situation was then made winnable because they were all given hidden immunity idols. What a cool and balanced twist. For each of these entries I'll be using 2 pie charts. This one here shows what you'd expect with an even edit. This one here shows what actually happened. This one has meat in it, which I've heard isn't really a thing in America. Y'all are missing out. Post-swap Soka and Ravu both got 18.6% of the content, totaling 16 confessionals each. The main issue here is that Tika exists, and Tika is awesome. These tribes only existed for 2 episodes. Here's what happened on Tika in those episodes. Syrah gets voted off in a 2-0 vote because Josh simply outskilled her. Really, it is a skill issue on Syrah's part, easy for guys like Josh. Josh makes a fake immunity idol to give to Jam Jam and it immediately falls apart in his hands. Jam Jam and Carolyn are a tight 2 until they're suddenly hating each other and then suddenly loving each other again. There's a lot going on here, so much so that Tika got 62.79% of the content. At least the other 2 tribes didn't get totally left behind. If they were one big tribe, they'd actually be nowhere near this list. But evenly splitting an already pretty small amount of content between 2 tribes simply leaves both feeling a bit undercooked. Even Matthew quitting didn't really count as a Ravu boot episode, because Tika lost the immunity challenge and was going to be voting someone out up until that point. It's simple to see that not going to tribal makes you a bit under-edited. Wonder if that's going to be a running theme throughout the video.
I came, I saw, I conquered, I did what I needed to do at Rat 2, and now my plan is to do it here.
Like everyone here is so old and all they talk about is food. I'm like, don't you guys like, it's like, what about the Jedi?
Coming in at number several, we have OG Karma who got 26.53% of the content compared to Manu. This is a similar story to before. Not only was Manu a complete mess of a tribe, losing all 3 immunity challenges, they also just had the more interesting characters. We've got David and Wentworth at each other's throats immediately, Wardog and Devons, whose name is coincidentally also Wardog, Keith who can't swim, Wendy doing whatever she wants, Reem using the word dude constantly. Dude. The only real dot on this tribe is this random nobody who gets voted out 3rd. That's fine. He's not important, we never see him again, he's really just a non-entity. What storyline do we have on Karma? The fact that Victoria hates returning players? Ron's advantage menu? Did Eric exist this season, or was that a collective fever dream we all had? I'm running out of things to say about this tribe. That's what you'll be hearing a lot throughout this video. Coming up next we have Lamina in Survivor Panama. Oh, sorry, not that Lamina. I'm referring to the Lamina that was around for exactly 1 episode. They got 12.9% of the confessionals, which is well below the 25% you'd expect them to get. And this one is a bit of an outlier. A 4-person tribe on a 4-tribe season that existed for 1 episode is kind of insane. And they didn't really have anything going on this episode. Which is a shame because out of the 4 starting tribes, I do think this was the most interesting. Shane alone is enough to make me feel that way.
I don't have the apartment.
Well, obviously, dude. I've never been in your apartment. I don't know if it's or not. It was an adjective.
I know.
Don't take everything so personal.
Bayonetta features the very first person to visit Exile Island. Shut up, she doesn't count. Kasaya features the heartbreaking story of Timbertina and the rise of one of the greatest strategic forces to ever play the game. Viveris was also under-edited, getting 16.13% of the content, but not as small as Lamina. Viveros also has Aris trying to firebend in the first episode. It's the scene I always point to when people say Aris was the normal member of the Kasaya Alliance.
You guys feel anything in your hands?
Yeah. He's the normal one.
I haven't had a cigarette. I smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day for 20 years, and I haven't had a cigarette in like 31 hours.
Top 5, baby, top 5. Coming in at number 5, we have Tavua from Survivor Game Changers? I'm sorry. Who? Can anyone tell me something important this tribe did? I feel like an insane person for saying that, because looking at this tribe, you have some dynamite on here. Ozzy used to be my favourite player of all time. My first season was South Pacific, cut me some slack. Sari is obviously amazing. Okay, we're out of dynamite. But Troyzan does own an island.
This isn't my island! You can't beat me!
This tribe only received 17.05% of the content, compared to Manu's 35.23 and Nuku's 47.73. It's again the case of just not going to tribal. If you aren't going to tribal, unless something crazy happens like Troyzan finding an idol, there's no need to give you content. I'll also lay the blame on the fact they didn't go to the big tribal of the season, where Malcolm got voted out, and I continue to seethe about it to this very day.
I'm gonna vomit.
Me too, Malcolm. Me too.
Andrea, come on, man. She acts like she's my buddy, but she's a little devil, that one.
Now we have the Bion tribe after the second swap in Survivor Cambodia. This, like Lamina, was a tribe that existed for one episode. They got 25% of the confessionals for that episode, which is 25% fewer than we would expect them to get. Aside from Steven's breakdown over the fact that he hates Joe, what else is there to show? First they lose the reward, so no reason to show them during that. Then they win the immunity challenge, so no reason to show them after that. It's a 1-2 punch of not being a tribe that exists. This is the last tribe that only exists for one episode on the list, and I'm thankful for it.
You know, I put so much into it last time, but I still came up short. And I'm putting so much into it this time.
Coming in at number 3, we have the reason that this is a top 8 instead of a top several. Also, it may technically be a top 9 because of that tie for 8. We have Karma after the swap in Edge of Extinction. They received 15.52% of the confessionals, while Manu received 34.48 and Lesu received 36.21. Take everything I said about the pre-swap Karma tribe and just crank it to the max. I would not beget you for forgetting these powerhouses. Aurora straight up got 0 confessionals while this tribe existed, and their best isn't doing much better. It's looking grim for this tribe. Because Karma appears on this list twice, we have to call this tribe the most invisible tribe in Survivor history. What's that? Arrout already did that in its video called The Most Invisible Tribes in Survivor History. Man, that rolls off the tongue so much better than the most under-edited Survivor tribes. No wonder he's so good at this. Also like Tavua, this tribe didn't go to that messy 2 tribes vote off 1 person tribal council, which I believe legally means the editors aren't allowed to give them any content or else they lose their job. In second place we have post-swap Takeo from Survivor Cambodia. They got 15.19% of the content, while Bion got 34.19% and Angkor got 50.83%. Ah, the very first tribe expansion. Remember when they did that for the first time in Survivor Cambodia? And then did it again in Millennials vs Gen X? And then did it again in Game Changers? And then did it again in Ghost Island? And then did it again in David vs Goliath? And then did it again in Edge of Extinction? And then did it again in Winners at War? Man, imagine having several seasons of basically the exact same format, essentially back to back to back to back to back to back to back. That would get so boring and repetitive. Fans would probably be clamoring for Survivor to shake it up even just a little bit. Ah well. There was really nothing going on at this tribe. The only strategically significant scene I can think of is when Thierry ends up on the outs, but he got pulled from the game anyway, so nothing really came of that. How do you think tribes like this should be edited when they never lose? Let me know in the comments below. The editors have a really tough job. They need to balance telling an exciting story on an episode by episode basis with telling an exciting story over the course of the entire season, while telling us a story that still leaves us guessing about who the winner may be. It's not an easy job, and I certainly do not envy them. Also, for those keeping track at home, Joe has been on 4 of the tribes I've talked about so far. Coincidence? Insidious plot by the editors? You be the judge.
If our tribe loses, Dietz or myself will be on the chopping block. I just have a feeling that the 4 are gonna stick together for the numbers.
Hey, what the fuck are you doing on this list? Coming in at 1.5, we have the Outcast tribe. This is a tribe that existed for 1 episode, but I only realized running the numbers now they got no confessionals. Does this even count as a tribe? They sort of have buffs, right? This one says The Jerks. Classic German. I would have probably really enjoyed some flashback confessionals from this group, showing what they were up to when not in the game, sort of like a proto-Edge of Extinction. However, that would open the can of worms about whether or not the outcasts were actually living in proper survivor conditions. Where do you fall on that conspiracy theory? I'm undecided. Anyway, coming in at number 1 we have post-swap Goda from survivor Caramoan. This tribe got 21.82% of the confessionals. Are you kidding me? It's not like that was a one-off either, this happened for multiple episodes. Funniest part of this? Bakal has 7 members, totaling 43 confessionals. 10 came from Cochrane, 12 from Corinne, 14 from Philip. The remaining 7 confessionals are split across 5 tribe members, some of whom were an insult to the flavour vanilla from what I understand. Meanwhile, Goda got 12 confessionals total, which is crazy because this tribe is stacked like pancakes. If I told you there's a tribe featuring Malcolm, Andrea, Eric, Brenda, Eddie and Reynold, sorry Sherry, and then told you they got less than a third of the content than a tribe featuring Matt, Julia and Michael, you'd call me insane. And I feel insane for the fact that this is the world we live in.
I'm ecstatic. I think the Goda tribe is, the best that could possibly be right now. We are the young, good-looking tribe. It's awesome.
So that's our top several list. Top 8 list? Technically top 9 list. It might have actually been a top 10 list. And none of these tribes ever went to tribal council. Unless you count the outcasts voting people back into the game, you're not slipping that one past me, bucko. That makes sense. Tribal is a big part of Survivor. So you want to edit the tribe Goda tribal bigger than the tribe that isn't. Tribal facilitates drama, which facilitates conflict, which facilitates entertainment. Do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be invited back for a 2nd season? Do you want to win 1,000,000 hearts? Suffer. Suffer and have the editors display it for the world to see. If you're living the life of luxury, with no conflict or drama sprouting from the ashes of fallen tribe mates, then what have you to offer for our entertainment? Nothing, and you'll be cut out of the show for it. On that cheery note, I've been Henry Hickman's Survivor, and I'll see you at the next challenge, which I'm going to throw in a desperate bid to get more screen time. Oh, you're still here? Cool. You're a real one, and I need your help. I'm working on the most under-edited pre-merge boots video. There are some hiccups going on there. I've left a pinned comment asking for your thoughts on how to do the math. Much appreciated. I'll see you guys next time.